Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs.
Hi everybody, welcome to episode 94, The Power of Hibernating. In this episode, we share studies and our own personal experiences on the power of removing yourself from your busy life and taking time to reflect and allow your body and nature to catch up with itself. I hope everybody enjoys the show.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Today's episode is all about the power of hibernating. And this one's an important one. And I think that animals show the power behind hibernating, and we can too.
They do. Bears hibernate. What other animals hibernate?
Bears? Okay, I didn't plan on this to think about those animals.
That's okay.
I can think of bears. I know what can't hibernate because I have found a study. Rats can't hibernate.
Rats can't hibernate?
Well, naturally.
Naturally?
But artificially they can.
Okay. So going back to the bears. So I brought
Yes.
up the bears for a reason because the bears have 3 seasons in their life. They have, let me get it right here. So they have, the bears that is, can't find it.
Do you want me to tell you?
Oh, they have active season, a period of intensive eating, and hibernation.
Okay.
And I brought that up for a reason because, so they have active season, they have intensive eating, and they have hibernation. When bears go in hibernation, their body slows down. Their heart rate slows down. Everything just slows down and decreases. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's powerful about this episode for humans is we have times where we're very active. We have times where we're eating all the fruit that comes into our life. And then we have times where we need to withdraw a little bit, have solitude, relax, slow things down so we can receive everything and catch up. And allow nature to catch up with us.
That's so true. We do need that. Have you ever seen the movie Forever Young with Mel Gibson?
Parts of it.
Okay. That is all about where they were doing a study. It's the best movie. If you haven't watched it, I love it. They did a study in the movie where Mel Gibson was put in a little chamber and he was frozen. And one of his friends that was supposed to open the chamber died before this time capsule, to hold him in time and see if he was preserved. But he died, and then luckily a little boy opened up the chamber. But it reminded me of a study that I found.
And what's that?
So one thing is neuroscientists know the benefits of sleep. They know the power behind sleep. It helps the lymphatic system. The brain actually clears out toxic
all the
toxins and everything. So it clears out toxic waste through its lymphatic system. And there was a study done by Dr. Matteo Carri at a university in Italy. And his team actually induced hibernation in rats. And rats don't normally hibernate. So this is an artificial hibernation. And they injected them with a chemical in a certain area of the brain, and they inhibited neural activity, which means that they caused them not to be able to do certain things. Mm-hmm. It was hibernation. Mm-hmm. Now, they did feed them. They fed them food at different points, but they were shut down. Their brain was shut down for 6 hours. Mm-hmm. And what happened when they injected them, I just want to make sure that I say everything on here. Their body temperature started to lower. Their heart rate started to lower, like you mentioned about the bears. Their blood pressure started to lower, and they started to notice that they took on the characteristics of a hibernating animal, like a natural hibernation. And they put them in a dark and chilly room too, and fed them high-fat diets known to lower their metabolism rate. Mm-hmm. Like that's what they did. Mm-hmm. And with this, and they noticed that the brain pattern resembled bears and animals that naturally hibernate. They took them off of this injection and they came back normal. So they actually noticed that their behavior wasn't strange. They didn't have any kind of strange activity. So when they did this, it made me think of humans. Imagine if either we choose to do things like meditate, which is not one of my strengths right now with sitting and meditating, sitting still without anything else. My strength is more so finding things that ignite meditation. So float pods, crystal bowl meditation, those forms of meditation instead of sitting in silence. I like to put myself in a different environment and do it that way. But I always say in this episode, meditation is a powerful thing. So I would like to get to that place where I could sit in silence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. So obviously here, we're not telling humans to go and, hibernate for 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is. But we're more talking about solitude. We're more talking about retracting from things because life is so fast paced. Like everything is going. And it's just getting more and more like that. So I think it's so valuable to take a week, to take a month, to take a day. If you don't have that, take an hour each day to retract a little bit and to meditate or maybe take a nap or like what Lindsay was saying, there's different ways that she does. Like I know you go for walks and that's a form of meditation. Different things that you do to kind of retract and kind of just let your body slow down, let your heart rate slow down like what happens with bears and the rats. When they go in hibernation, things start to slow down. And I think that's the whole point of this episode is
your body works better when it comes back.
Slow down. Let your body catch up. Because I feel like we go at a such faster rate. And not I know. We go at a much faster rate than nature. So it's like we got to let things catch up. And that's why like our intentions are all out there. We're gonna manifest this. We're gonna do this. And that's why the universe takes a little bit of time to catch back up. And then it manifests because we're going at a faster rate. So sometimes we need to slow down to speed up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that sleep is definitely overrated because I know myself, my mom always said you're underrated, not overrated, underrated. I always was told you're nocturnal because I always like to stay up late. But if you can have a balance of, I would say about 8 hours, a little bit more would be great too. You're going to notice a difference with that if you sleep less than 6 hours, I notice a huge difference. I actually feel like I'm hungover. My college days of going out and drinking and waking up and feeling hungover like that, it's the same type of feeling when I don't get enough sleep. So you really can tell a difference. And I believe that when our body is more at rest, our body works better, we can think more clearly, we're not, there's more patience involved. I know when I don't get enough sleep, I feel impatient. So those are other things that can happen.
So I think a lot of people could look at, if I sleep 8 hours, I'm going to lose 2 hours for the day because usually I sleep 6 and I can get more done. And it's more of this thing, like we think that the more that we work, the more we get done, when it's really not like that. If you really get in harmony with the laws of nature, as cliche as that sound, as fairy tales that sound, if you really just tune into yourself and feel like, what does that mean to me? Getting in harmony with the laws of nature. Well, this is what we're talking about in this episode. Taking time daily, monthly. If you're an entrepreneur, you could take off a month if you needed it.
Yeah.
I know every summer we travel. We don't necessarily take off the whole time, but we have times where we're traveling and we're enjoying, and we need that time.
Yeah.
To where we could just reflect and come back, and then every time I notice that we come back stronger. I come back stronger.
Definitely.
I noticed that you come back stronger.
Yeah, I feel so different. And that's why I totally don't believe in the philosophy is, hustle, grind, don't sleep. You can sleep when you're dead. Like, I don't believe in any of that talk. Like, I actually fully believe in going with the laws of nature. And that's how we do our business, where we follow the seasons. So it's really, really important. And I think some of the things you may be thinking, well, how can I do this? Like, how can I get to that space? One, just make a conscious effort to set an alarm to go to sleep. That's one thing. The other thing is find things that actually do lower your heart rate. I know with Fitbit, I don't have it on now, it's charging, but it will actually show your heart rate. And you can tell if you're in a space where you feel relaxed, you're going to notice there's a difference. It's almost like your body can catch up. So I can share some things that I like to do, and then Tony can share his. But like I just shared, the float tank. So I just went into a float tank. This is the last time I did it was 10 years ago, and it's thousands of pounds of salt, and you naturally float. You don't need to try. You just lay down. You feel like you're floating on a cloud, and what happens is it does lower your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure. It just makes you feel more relaxed, and you're in like a little pod, and it actually feels like you're in the womb. That's what it's supposed to mimic, you being in the womb. You can turn the light on, or you can keep it off. I chose to keep it off, and you shut the pod. If you look it up, you'll understand what I'm saying. And it's almost like a moment of nothingness. So it's almost like forced meditation being in there, because you can't really go anywhere. You just lay in this pod. It's amazing. And then another thing I love to do is sit in nature or paint, different things like that for crafts. That's something that really keeps me more calm too.
And the beautiful thing about this is too, I want to do the floating.
Oh my God, you have to, like this week you
Lindsay
need to do
back
it.
And she was very excited about that, and
yeah,
made me want to do it.
Yeah, I'm like, why haven't I done this since 10 years ago? Like, I need to do this more.
And then just to add into what you were saying, when you're in the float tank, when you're in that space to where you're relaxed and your heart rate's slowing down, that's when all of your insight comes in. That's when you're closest to source. That's when you're going to get that big breakthrough idea or that clarity. And as all of you know in this, that listen to our podcast, you understand that clarity is where your power is. And that's what this is about too, is slowing down, getting clear, and allowing that insight to come in. And then also changing the way you see solitude. Because sometimes you could look at solitude in a negative light, or you could look at it in a positive light. Because I look at solitude and hibernation, they go hand in hand. To me, that's what we're talking about here. And I wanted to add a study to this. So Virginia Thomas, who's a psychology professor at the University of Wilmington College, studied students and their potential reasons for having solitude. So she had two groups of students. One group chose to have solitude throughout the day, a lot of the times, because of negative reasons, because of social anxiety, because of different things like that. They just wanted to be alone because of fear, and they're allowing all their fears to keep them in solitude. And then there was another group of students to where they would go in solitude each day for enjoyment, for recharging, for different things like that.
Right.
Well, between the two groups, they found that the group that went in solitude for positive reasons, like recharging and all that, they had positive relationships in general with people around them. They had less anxiety, less depression, less all that than the other group. The other group that chose solitude for the negative reasons, like trying to avoid being social, trying to avoid anxiety around people, they had higher levels of anxiety and depression. They had a lot of issues in relationships. It was consistent across the board. So I bring that up to shift your perspective with solitude and look at it like it's something that's valuable for you. It's something that if you look at it in a positive light, like I'm taking this 2 hours to myself to be alone in nature, not because I'm a loner, not because of that. And you may be an introvert. It doesn't matter any of that. It's more your positive outlook on it. I'm going to go here and I'm going to recharge. I'm going to put this in my day. I'm going to put this in my year. I know some people, Rich Litvin, a guy that I study, he's a coach. He takes off, I believe he said 3 months out of the year.
That makes
3
sense.
3 months out of the year he takes off, and then he works a couple days per week, and that works for him. So you got to figure out
what works for
you, especially as an entrepreneur. And if you work for a company and you have a set schedule, well, you could use your week's vacation, but you could also do it on a weekly basis to where you put that solitude into your daily practice.
Right.
For positive reasons.
Exactly. And if you feel like, oh, this isn't working for me, this schedule's not working for me, just know that there's availability to do it differently.
Always.
You know, don't feel like you're locked in. So that's something to think about too. You can change that if you don't like your schedule. You can figure it out.
Yeah, this isn't a serious thing. This is all about experimenting. I look at it like, so a lot of people, they want science to back things, which is cool. That's why we add studies to our podcast. But it's like the real science is take an idea, apply it into your life. If it works for you, who gives a crap if it has anything, based by it? So I look at all of this as like, take what we're saying here and experiment. See how it works in your life.
Exactly. I think one of the big things with this is I've seen both situations come up for me when you were sharing that study. One, I need my alone time. Like that's just something that I need. And I think a lot of my students do too. That's why when we do the retreat every year, I build in alone time for them to have that time. Because I think it's so powerful to have that time to recharge, especially if you're doing well, they don't know. Not everyone knows that, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I just gave away a secret.
Well, that's okay. That's right. But there's a parts of the retreat where I sprinkle in different things, and they have their alone time.
Yeah.
And also, so we have that time too to be alone and not feel like you have to talk to anyone. But the big thing is when. So I was just saying this the other day. I went to a birthday party, my friend's birthday party, and I hadn't been to a party, like an actual house party, in a long time. And before I left, I said to Tony, I'm like, this is so weird, because he wasn't going to come with me because he had to finish something that he was doing. And I said I felt so weird going because I haven't been in a big group setting like that in a while. And it was more because I was so focused on kind of getting my stuff done and focused on recharging before I went back into the world. But once I got there, I felt good and it was energizing. But you could easily fall into the trap of hiding out and not socializing. So I could see both ways to it, but I need to be recharged before I'm good for anyone.
And I think that's a great point you're bringing up right here.
Yeah.
Because that's where you make that distinction in your own self. We can't tell you. Nobody else can. You got to know, am I not going here because of fear, or am I not going here because of self-care? So that's an easy question to ask in anything.
Exactly. And that reminds me of, am I being around a bunch of people because of a fear of having solitude for myself, because I have to think for myself and actually like deal with my own stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's a big thing too.
Going around people so that you don't have to be in solitude. Because when you're in solitude, when you're by yourself, everything comes up. There's nobody to project things on. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, so think about that. Like if you're not someone that can be alone, you have to pick up the phone and get on the phone. You can't be alone at the grocery store in line. You have to look down at your phone. I've had moments like that.
I mean, before I moved here to Tampa in 2011 in St. Louis, I was going. Lindsay recognized it right away. She's like, you're not having any time to like slow down and really feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And that took me several years after I moved to Tampa to really it was really weird for me not to like literally in St. Louis, I would drive from one friend's house to another, to work, to school, to here. Like I was never sitting still.
I could see it clearly because I used to do that in Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. I never wanted to be home. I wanted to keep on going out and not sit still. I wanted to keep going.
Which is fun and it's exciting. I had a great time doing it. But once again, going back to that question about solitude, self-care or fear. And that goes on the flip side on both. And we all need it. We all need alone time. We all need time to retract.
Well, and when you're not alone, I noticed that you can go, and I've done it before, you go to other people for stuff instead of going inward. Mm-hmm. So of course you have friends or whatever, you call it intuitive, a medium, for information. That's totally fine. But sometimes it can get in the way if you're not even taking time for yourself to get the information that you have within your soul. If you're not going into that space. You gotta find that
perfect combination that works for you, where you spend enough time with your coach or intuitive, you spend your alone time, your studying, your family time, all of that. I can see how it's very complex, but the more that you reflect on it, I think reflection is huge, and you apply it into your own life and then reflect on it, and you'll figure out what works for you. And it's a never-ending thing. I think we're constantly changing all the time, so you constantly switch things up, get creative. Get very creative with all of this. Don't think there's just one way to do it.
Oh, yeah. And you'll feel, too, when something's out of balance. Like I just said it the other day, my intention for the next few months is to be more social, like to have my recharging time, but to really be more social. So outside of like the internet, because, I'm constantly talking to my students, and that's like an easy thing that you can be stuck in. And it's a good thing to have the internet. It's amazing, but also to socialize outside too. So I think it's something to think about, and it's pretty amazing when you take that time to have the solitude, to think about what the next step is to have that balance.
Absolutely. I don't have my clarity until I get on my bike or my rollerblades, and then I
yeah, that's your thing when you have that.
And all of a sudden, everything just becomes very clear to me. All my frustrations I had before that, they would kind of leave, and I would see clearly and have compassion for whatever situation I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And that works for me. A bike ride, rollerblades,
I love that
walking.
stuff. Bike riding, I love.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope this episode helped you. Share with us if there was a moment that you had of solitude that you can remember and you felt like, oh, I could breathe again, or anything that's come up, whether it's fear or excitement, thinking about this topic, and share with us. We all need to have a little hibernation in our life, so trust that feeling. Mm-hmm. We hope you enjoy this episode, and we will see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.